It's 6:30 p.m. on a Thursday. You are sitting at your desk fixing a formatting error on a slide deck that isn't even yours. Your colleague, the one who actually owns the presentation, left 30 minutes ago with a cheerful, "Thanks for looking this over, you're a lifesaver." You smile. You nod. You say, "No problem at all." But deep down, you are exhausted. You are resentful. And worst of all, you know that when promotion season rolls around next month, that same colleague is going to get the director title, while you get another exceeds expectations on your performance review, a pat on the back, and zero increase in your base salary. Welcome back. Today we are having a very necessary, very uncomfortable conversation. We are talking about the nice girl mistake, the silent career killer that is keeping incredibly smart, capable women stuck in mid-level roles. From the time we enter the workforce, many of us are subtly, or not so subtly, taught that our primary value is in our agreeableness. We are praised for being team players. We are rewarded for being low maintenance. We are celebrated for being nice. But here is the harsh reality of corporate economics. Being nice, compliant, and conflict-averse is the exact opposite of what signals leadership. Being nice makes you a fantastic assistant, a wonderful sounding board, and the office's favorite safety net. It does not make you an executive. If you are in your late 20s or 30s, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You've done everything right. You put your head down. You do the work. You never complain. You thought that if you were just the most reliable person in the room, eventually the powers that be would tap you on the shoulder and reward you with the corner office. You're hitting an invisible ceiling, and you can't figure out why. I'll tell you why. It's because the business world doesn't promote people because they are nice. It promotes people because they are perceived as powerful, decisive, and capable of handling friction. When you prioritize everyone else's comfort over your own boundaries, you strip yourself of all three of those traits. We confuse politeness with subservience. We shrink our physical presence. We soften our emails with exclamation points and emojis. And we prefix our brilliant ideas with, "This might be a stupid question, but..." This isn't just about being a people pleaser. This is a systemic trap, and it is costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lifetime earning potential. Over the next half hour, we are going to dismantle this trap piece by piece. We are going to look at the 3 specific nice behaviors you are probably doing today that are killing your momentum. Let's get into it. So, we've established that the nice girl persona is a trap, but how exactly is it operating in your day-to-day life? It rarely looks like a dramatic, career-ending failure. Instead, it looks like 1,000 tiny, socially acceptable compromises that slowly erode your authority. To break free, we have to audit your behavior. We are going to look at the 3 specific career-killing mistakes you are making under the guise of being nice. Mistake number 1, the office housework trap. Let's start with the most insidious one. Imagine you are in a team meeting. There are 6 of you around the table. Your manager says, "We need someone to take notes and send out the action items." Silence falls over the room. 3 seconds pass. 4 seconds. The silence is thick, it's awkward, and you can physically feel the tension. Because you are highly empathetic and conditioned to keep the peace, you can't stand that awkwardness. So what do? You raise your hand. "I'll do it," you say with a reassuring smile. Congratulations, you just volunteered for office housework. Office housework, also known as non-promotable work, is the glue that keeps a company running, but it is entirely invisible when it comes to performance reviews and compensation. It includes taking notes, ordering the catering for the lunch and learn, organizing the retirement gift for Susan in accounting, or volunteering to onboard the new guy because you're just so good with people. When you consistently volunteer for these tasks, you think you are showing leadership that you are a team player. But let me tell you exactly what upper management sees. They do not see a leader, they see a caretaker. You are branding yourself as the team mom rather than the team strategist. Here is the brutal truth about office housework. It takes up the exact same amount of time and energy as high-visibility, promotable work, but it yields zero return on investment for your career. While you are spending 45 minutes formatting the meeting minutes to make sure everyone's bullet points look pretty, your male colleague, the one who sat comfortably in the silence and didn't volunteer, is using that exact same 45 minutes to draft a proposal for a new revenue stream. Guess which one of you is getting brought up in the quarterly executive meeting? When you act as the administrative catch-all, you subtly signal to everyone in the room that your time is less valuable than theirs. You are telling them that you are available for the busy work. And once you are boxed into the helper role, it is incredibly difficult to be seen as the visionary. You cannot be the architect of the building if you are always volunteering to sweep the floors. You have to learn to sit in that awkward silence. Let someone else take the notes. Mistake number 2, the apology reflex. If I were to open your sent folder in your work email right now, how many times would I find the word sorry? Sorry for the delay. Sorry to bother you. Sorry, just following up on this. Sorry, but I have a quick question. Women in the workplace have developed a devastatingly reflexive habit of apologizing simply for existing, for taking up space, and for doing their jobs. We apologize when we ask for what we need. We apologize when someone else bumps into us in the hallway. We apologize for holding a boundary. You think you are just being polite. You think it softens the interaction and makes you more approachable. But the apology reflex is actually a subconscious defense mechanism. You are preemptively softening your language because you are terrified of being perceived as aggressive, bossy, or difficult. But every time you unnecessarily type the word sorry, you are actively undermining your own credibility. When you say, "Sorry to bother you, but I need those Q3 numbers," you are implying that your request is an imposition, rather than a fundamental requirement for the business to function. You are subtly telling the other person that they hold the power and you are begging for a favor. Let's look at how you present ideas. How often do you sit in a meeting, wait for a pause, and then start your sentence with, "I could be totally wrong here, but," or, "This might be a stupid question, but," why are you doing the work of the critic before you even open your mouth? When you wrap your expertise in an apology, you train your colleagues to doubt you. You are literally handing them the shovel to bury your ideas. If your male counterpart has an idea, even a half-baked one, he doesn't apologize for it. He states it as a matter of fact. He assumes his voice has value. You need to start doing the same. Stop apologizing for requiring clarity. Stop apologizing for expecting people to meet their deadlines. Stop apologizing for taking a sick day. When you strip the apologies out of your vocabulary, you will feel exposed at first. It will feel harsh. But what you are actually doing is replacing subservience with clarity, and clarity commands respect. Mistake number 3, the myth of meritocracy. The third mistake is perhaps the most heartbreaking because it stems from a place of genuine hard work. It is the deep-seated belief in the myth of meritocracy. This is the good student syndrome carried over into adulthood. In school, the rules were clear. If you did the reading, put your head down, studied hard, and turned in a perfect paper, the teacher noticed and you got an A. You didn't have to market your paper. You didn't have to network with the teacher. The work spoke for itself. Many women enter the corporate world believing the exact same rule applies. You believe that if you just keep your head down, grind out flawless work, and consistently save the day behind the scenes, management will notice. You believe in a magical fairy godmother of human resources who is keeping a perfect tally of all your late nights and weekends. You wait quietly to be recognized, assuming your results will naturally lead to a promotion. This is often called the tiara syndrome. The belief that if you do your job perfectly, someone will eventually come along and place a tiara on your head. I need you to hear me. The corporate world is not a meritocracy. Your work does not speak for itself. Work cannot speak. Only you can speak. If you are doing the heavy lifting on a massive project, but you let your louder, more assertive colleague do all the presenting to the stakeholders, who do you think gets the credit? The stakeholders don't know that you built the financial model at 2 a.m. They only know who is standing at the front of the room explaining it to them. You think that advocating for yourself is bragging. You think it's boastful, arrogant, and, worst of all, not nice. So you deflect praise. When someone compliments your work, you say, "Oh, it was a team effort," even when you did 90% of it. You minimize your contributions to make sure no one feels threatened by your competence. But managers are overwhelmingly busy, easily distracted, and focused on their own survival. They are not micromanaging your daily wins. If you do not actively narrate your value to them, they will assume you are simply doing the baseline of your job description. When you stay quiet about your achievements, you become invisible. You become the workhorse. They will keep loading you up with more responsibilities because you are so incredibly capable, but they will not promote you because leadership requires visibility, not just capability. If you want the title, the salary, and the respect, you have to kill the good student. You have to stop waiting to be noticed and start making yourself undeniable. You have to learn the art of self-advocacy, which is simply the practice of making your invisible work visible. These 3 mistakes, drowning in office housework, apologizing for your own existence, and waiting for a meritocracy that doesn't exist, are the exact mechanisms keeping you stuck. They are symptoms of the nice girl disease. But the good news is, because these are learned behaviors, they can be unlearned. Now that we know exactly how the trap works, we are going to talk about what it is actually costing you. We are going to look at the cold, hard economics of being nice, and then we are going to teach you exactly how to pivot. We've diagnosed the symptoms. We've looked at the specific, everyday behaviors that make up the nice girl trap. Now it is time to look at the bill. Because being nice isn't just a harmless personality trait, it is an incredibly expensive habit. We are going to conduct a ruthless audit of what your people-pleasing is actually costing you. This is the economics of nice. When you operate from a place of constant accommodation, you aren't just losing out on titles, you are actively bleeding time, money, and mental health. Let's break down the 3 hidden taxes you are paying every single day. Tax number 1, responsibility inflation. In the business world, there is a concept called scope creep. It happens when a project slowly grows beyond its original boundaries until it consumes double the budget and double the time. When you are the resident nice girl, your entire career becomes an exercise in scope creep. We call this responsibility inflation. It starts innocently enough. A colleague is overwhelmed, so you step in to help them finish a report. Your boss is disorganized, so you start managing their calendar just to keep things moving. You take on a piece of a departing team member's job just temporarily until they find a replacement. But here is the harsh reality of corporate physics. Work flows to the path of least resistance. Because you never push back, those temporary favors quietly solidify into permanent expectations. You suddenly find yourself doing the job of 3 people. But look at your paycheck. Did your salary triple? Did your title change to reflect this massive influx of responsibility? No. Let's do the math on what is actually happening here. If you are salaried and you take on 20% more duties without a 20% increase in pay, you have effectively given your employer a pay cut. You are working longer hours, expanding your output, and diluting your own hourly rate. You think that by taking on all this extra weight, you are proving you are indispensable. But what you are actually doing is making yourself too useful to promote. If your manager promotes you, they have to find someone else to do all the invisible, uncredited heavy lifting you've been doing for free. You have made it economically disadvantageous for them to elevate you. Tax number 2, the opportunity cost. Every basic economics class teaches the concept of opportunity cost. It is the principle that every choice you make comes at the expense of the next best alternative. Every time you say yes to something trivial, you are saying no to something transformative. Let's look at your calendar. If you spend 5 hours a week smoothing over a colleague's fragile ego, fixing someone else's formatting errors, or organizing the department off-site, that is 5 hours a week stolen from high-impact work. Over a year, that is 250 hours, over 6 full work weeks, dedicated to maintenance instead of momentum. In the corporate hierarchy, there are two types of work. Maintenance work keeps the lights on, keeps people happy, and is entirely expected. Momentum work drives revenue, solves systemic problems, and sets strategic vision. Momentum work is what gets you promoted. Maintenance work is what gets you a thank you card. When your energy is entirely consumed by being the emotional shock absorber for your team, you have zero creative bandwidth left to be the visionary. You are too tired to speak up in the strategy meeting because you spent the whole morning putting out a preventable fire for a colleague who couldn't be bothered to read the brief. You are robbing yourself of the time you need to build your portfolio, network with executives, or upskill. You are literally stealing from your own future to make someone else's present more comfortable. Tax number 3, the burnout cycle. Finally, we have to talk about the most dangerous tax of all, the emotional toll. Sociologists have a term for what you are doing every day: emotional labor. It is the process of managing your own feelings and expressions to fulfill the emotional requirements of a job. It is the effort it takes to smile politely when a male colleague interrupts you for the third time in a meeting. It is the energy required to swallow your frustration and draft an excessively cheerful email when you are actually furious about a missed deadline. Masking your true opinions, constantly monitoring how you are being perceived, and perpetually putting the needs of the team above your own boundaries is exhausting. It is a one-way ticket to profound burnout. When you spend 8, 10, or 12 hours a day suppressing your authentic voice to keep the peace, you don't just leave that at the office. You bring that exhaustion home. You snap at your partner. You have no energy for your friendships. You spend your weekends dreading Monday instead of recovering. And eventually, this burnout dictates your career trajectory. Women who are trapped in the nice girl cycle don't usually flame out in a blaze of glory. They quietly fade away. They decide that climbing the ladder just isn't worth the stress, not realizing that the stress wasn't caused by the work itself. It was caused by the crippling weight of their own lack of boundaries. They step back, they downshift, or they quit entirely, leaving immense potential and earning power on the table. The bottom line. Let's summarize the true economics of nice. You are inflating your responsibilities, devaluing your market rate, sacrificing your strategic momentum, and driving yourself toward a physical and mental breakdown. You are playing a game where the absolute best-case scenario is that everyone likes you, and the worst-case scenario is that you completely lose yourself. Likability is a terrible currency to build a career on, because it is entirely dependent on other people's moods. Respect, on the other hand, is built on your own self-worth, your boundaries, and your results. The audit is complete. We see the debt. Now it is time to balance the books. We have analyzed the trap. We have tallied the devastating financial and emotional costs. Now we stop the bleeding. Welcome to the most important part of this conversation, the pivot to power. This is where we transition from identifying the problem to actively arming you with the strategies to solve it. You cannot simply decide to stop being a pushover. You need a new operating system. You need new scripts, new boundaries, and a fundamental shift in how you view your professional relationships. Let's break down the 3 actionable steps to take your power back. Step 1. Redefine kind versus nice. The biggest hurdle you will face in this pivot is your own guilt. You are terrified that if you stop being accommodating, people will think you are difficult, aggressive, or unkind. We need to completely sever the connection in your brain between being nice and being kind. They are not the same thing. Nice is about making other people comfortable. It is rooted in a fear of conflict. When you are nice, you withhold your true opinions, you sugarcoat feedback until it's useless, and you take on work that isn't yours just to avoid an awkward conversation. Being nice is ultimately a selfish act. because it prioritizes your desire to avoid discomfort over the actual needs of the business or the team. Kindness is about being honest, clear, and fair. As Dr. Brené Brown famously says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. It is kind to tell a colleague that their portion of the presentation is lacking data, giving them the chance to fix it before they look foolish in front of the VP. It is kind to set a firm boundary about your working hours, so your team knows exactly when they can rely on you. It is kind to say no to a project you don't have the bandwidth for, rather than saying yes and delivering a mediocre result. When you make the pivot to power, you are not becoming mean. You are becoming fiercely, unapologetically kind. You are trading the cheap currency of being liked for the high-value currency of being respected. Step 2. The art of the strategic no. If your immediate reflexive answer to any request is yes, your yes has absolutely no value. It is just a default setting. Power lies in the pause, and authority lies in the no. But I know that simply saying no to your boss or a senior colleague feels incredibly dangerous. So we aren't going to just say no. We are going to use the strategic pushback. You are going to stop managing people's feelings and start managing their priorities. Here are the actual scripts you can start using tomorrow. Scenario A, the unreasonable deadline. Your manager drops a massive report on your desk at 4 p.m. on a Thursday and says they need it by Friday morning. Instead of, sure, I'll stay late and get it done, say, I can absolutely make this my top priority. However, to get this done by tomorrow morning, I will need to push the Q3 budget review to next Tuesday. Are you comfortable with that trade-off? Notice what you just did. You didn't say no. You forced them to make the management decision about priorities. You protected your time while remaining entirely solution-oriented. Scenario B, the office housework. A colleague asks you to take the notes and organize the calendar invites for a new cross-departmental committee. Instead of, I can do that, no problem, say, I won't be able to take on the administrative duties for this committee as my focus needs to remain on the strategy rollout. I recommend we rotate this responsibility among all committee members so it doesn't fall on one person. Who would like to take it for this first month? You politely declined, you provided a systemic solution, and you immediately redirected the awkward silence back to the room. Step 3. The vocabulary flip. We talked earlier about the apology reflex. The word sorry is a white flag. Every time you use it unnecessarily, you surrender a piece of your authority. We are going to surgically remove the unnecessary apologies from your vocabulary and replace them with a far more powerful phrase. Thank you. When you apologize, you center the conversation on your perceived inadequacy. When you say thank you center the conversation on the other person's grace, elevating both of you in the process. Watch how this changes the entire dynamic of an interaction. Instead of, sorry I'm late to the meeting, you sound flustered and subservient. Say, thank you all for your patience, let's get started. You sound authoritative and in control. Instead of, sorry, I know this is a stupid question. You discredit your own expertise. Say, thank you for outlining that. Can you clarify the timeline on the second phase? You sound engaged and analytical. Instead of, sorry for the delay in getting back to you. You admit fault where none may exist. Say, thank you for hanging in there while I reviewed these details. You reframe your delay as diligence. The physical shift. Finally, the pivot to power is not just verbal, it is physical. Women who are trapped in the nice girl cycle subconsciously try to take up as little physical space as possible. You cross your legs tightly, fold your arms, speak softly, and literally shrink into your office chair. Starting tomorrow, I want you to claim your space. Plant your feet on the floor. Rest your forearms on the boardroom table. When you speak from your diaphragm, not your throat. When you finish a sentence, drop your pitch instead of raising it like a question. Stop physically acting like a guest in a room you belong in. You have the tools. You have the scripts. You know the difference between being nice and being kind. You are ready. We have covered a lot of ground today. We have deconstructed the trap, tallied the cost, and given you the scripts to pivot. But inspiration without implementation is just entertainment. If you close this video and go right back to answering emails with, "Sorry to bother you," nothing in your career will change. This brings us to our final segment, the action plan. You cannot completely rewrite a decade of corporate conditioning overnight. If you try to completely overhaul your personality by tomorrow morning, you will panic, the whiplash will be too intense, and you will retreat right back into your comfort zone. Instead, we are going to rely on micro-corrections. Here is your strict, non-negotiable action plan to start reclaiming your professional power. Action step 1, the 24-hour challenge. I am issuing you a challenge for your very next workday. Your goal is not to become the CEO by 5 p.m. Your goal is simply to catch and stop exactly 3 nice girl behaviors before they happen. 1. Stop one apology. When you are drafting an email and you type, "Sorry for the delay," hit backspace. Change it to, "Thank you for your patience." Hit send. 2. Say no to one minor request. When someone asks for a quick favor that is not your job, do not instinctively say yes. Say, "I am heads down on a deadline today, so I won't have the bandwidth to look at this." Period. No over-explaining, no groveling. 3. Claim your physical space once. In your next meeting, do not shrink into the corner. Put your forearms on the table. Speak clearly. Do not end your sentences with an upward inflection like you are asking for permission to be heard. 3 tiny actions. That is it. What you will find is that the sky will not fall. No one will yell at you. In fact, people probably won't even notice the shift, but you will feel it. You are proving to your own brain that setting a boundary is safe. Action step 2. Build your advocacy file. We talked about the myth of meritocracy, the fatal mistake of waiting quietly for someone to notice your hard work. You are going to stop waiting today. I want you to open a fresh document on your desktop. Title it your advocacy file, or if you prefer, your hype document. Every Friday afternoon, block off exactly 15 minutes on your calendar. Do not skip this. During those 15 minutes, you are going to write down every piece of momentum work you accomplished that week. Did you streamline a process that saved the team 2 hours? Write it down. Did a client send an email praising your strategy? Copy and paste it into the document. Did you successfully manage a crisis that kept a project on budget? Document it. Do not write down your office housework. Do not write down that you organized the catering. Document the revenue-driving, problem-solving, strategic wins. When your quarterly review rolls around, you are not going to walk in with an empty notebook, hoping your manager remembers what you did 3 months ago. You are going to walk in with a detailed, data-backed portfolio of your exact value. You are not bragging. You are providing the evidence required to justify your promotion. You are making it incredibly easy for your boss to say yes to your raise. The final thought. I want to leave you with one final, liberating truth. When you first start asserting yourself, it is going to feel deeply uncomfortable. Your inner critic is going to scream at you that you are being difficult, that people are going to think you are too much, and that you are going to alienate your team. Let them think what they want. You are not at work to be everyone's favorite work best friend. You are not there to be the office mother. You are there to build a career, to execute at a high level, and to secure your own financial independence. Likability is a trap designed to keep you small, accommodating, and underpaid. Respect is the currency of leaders. It takes courage to stop being the nice girl. It takes courage to let a silence hang in the air without rushing to fill it. It takes courage to protect your time when everyone else is demanding it. But on the other side of that temporary discomfort is the career, the salary, and the authority you actually deserve. Being nice got you in the door. Being powerful will get you the room. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Start taking what is yours. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.